You ever look at people around you and their particular fashion choices and really begin to question your life decisions? Here in Texas, we have a ton of those kinds of people, and sometimes the trends in this country range from at best benign, mildly questionable, to at worst, what in the Messiah's name is your poop hole doing out? But that got me wondering, are there any trends throughout history that are even worse and interesting? And dare I say, a little bit weird? So why don't we start in Japan? No, not modern day Weeb Japan, but Japan in the Heian era, where people liked to wear long robes, had long ass hair, and wrote haikus for anything they did. Nature's cow, a silent plea, earthward journey, swift and deep, body finds release. Honey, can you come out of the poop already? The day old pufferfish rolls are bubbling in me. Okay, fine, let me wipe my anus first. Ah, paper meets the rear, cleaning up the messy task. Freshness now restored. But yeah, don't people just emanate elegance and grace? And oh my god, yes, Japanese women in the Heian period would make it a regular habit for themselves to stain their teeth dark black, which contrasts sharply with their powdered white skin, which was to set them apart from the lowly peasants who would work outside all day and get a nice tan in return. The dark black stained teeth was a sign of beauty, and a flash of the teeth would purportedly make any guy fall for the girl at hand. Ugh. Apparently, blackening the teeth was actually good for people back then because people didn't brush or floss their teeth back then, or had any dentist gear for that matter. So if they weren't doing anything, they had really bad teeth with a lot of party spots in their mouth for bacteria to create cavities and absolutely ruin their teeth set. So the blackening substance they used for their teeth really just allowed them to seal their teeth up and keep them better for longer, and eventually just became a general beauty trend to have black teeth because it was an indication that you took care of yourself really well. So it's not that bad, right? Now let's head over to Europe and talk about hairlines. Nope, this woman isn't suffering from female pattern baldness, fellas. She purposely plucked her hair one by one to make her forehead a lot bigger, which would be like a death sentence in terms of physical beauty today. But back then, it was all the rage. Apparently, it may have been because the queen at the time was legitimately balding herself, and people just liked to copy royalty because whatever the king and queen did was considered the ultimate cool symbol, I guess. Hey, Ronnie the nobleman, why did you cut both your arms off? Because the king had his cut off last week in a tournament, man. Totally cool that my arms are gone too, right? And while you're at it, can you pour that cup of coffee in my mouth? Thanks. Also tell my wife and kids that they're getting their arms cut off this evening. Others just think it was maybe just cool to be bald and that, the shiny head maybe made you look a lot more intelligent and thus made you a lot more attractive to other people. Also in Europe in the 15th century, rich people liked to house vagrants on their property, literally. So a lot of kings and tech CEOs back then had like huge properties, right? Like massive. And often they had a lot of gardens where they could, walk through with the occasional cave or abandoned house or something. And sometimes people would live in them. Often old-ass men who just couldn't give enough of a fuck and would just start squatting in these houses. Of course, most of them were kicked off, Texan style, but one rich guy thought it would be cool if he just let the old-ass guy live there as a hermit. And then when his friends would come over, it would be kind of a flex to say that he was so rich, he just had some wise old-ass man living on his property ready to give him some wisdom. Kyle the vagrant, what should I do to cure my erectile dysfunction? Hair, have these cylindrical legs with a mysterious white creamy substance on them. Did you just ate it? Honey, I'm ready for some action. Eventually, I guess these rich people got tired of actual hermits living on their property and instead paid some random guy to be the wise homeless guy. I wonder how those conversations went. Hey, you there, would you be interested in a well-paying job that gives you a plethora of benefits? Yeah. Can you just pretend to be a homeless guy on my property? I guess it wasn't as bad as people literally crushing their fate. In the Qing dynasty in China, people started developing a crazy petite foot fetish, where it was considered cool and sexy to have tiny-ass feet that looked like it belonged to a deformed velociraptor that was then subsequently run over by a Jeep Wrangler. I mean, some of these x-ray images are genuinely horrendous to look at. So basically how it worked was, ever since a young age, the daughters of a well-to-do family would literally have their feet broken and then bounded up to be super small and basically smushed up to fit into these lotus shoes. Apparently it was considered super high class for these women to have these feet because they basically couldn't do shit and just had to sit around and just tell their army of servants to do everything for them because their feet are literally unusable. And I guess that showed how wealthy they were because, they just disabled themselves and now they're so rich that, it doesn't really matter that they're disabled. Hey you, pick up my shoe for me and also get me the piss can. What are you gonna do if I don't? Curse these patriarchal beauty standards set for women. And also, it wasn't like it was only the rich people doing this so that we could all collectively laugh at them. Literally, like a huge percentage of women in other classes did this too because it increased marriage prospects so much. And some people even started to think that the nasty, rotten smell emanating from the grotesque folds of these bound-up feet were erotic. Oh, baby. Ooh, baby, those feet. Oh, they're right. Oh, I wonder what kind of bacteria are stewing up in there. Mind if I lick? Anyways, the whole thing got so bad, in fact, that the imperial government of China tried banning it in an oddly feminist move, but largely persisted until that balding guy came into power. Maybe everyone thought it would just be cool to be bald like him and not, do all this fate smushing stuff. Well, I guess after looking at these weird historical trends, maybe the people over here in Texas and their weird traditions aren't so bad. Anyways, I hope these weird trends were interesting to you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.